Hi, it's Christina with Best New Bands, and I'm here with David Berkeley about 45 minutes before a show at Rockwood Music Hall in New York City, and he's going to give us the skinny on what he's been up to and talk to us about his fourth album, Some Kind of Cure. You've been singing since you were 4, so when did you begin really interacting with the audience?
Well, I mean, I was interacting with the audience when I was 4, singing, but I think what you are asking about is when did I start sort of singing seriously and kind of talking on stage. I talk a lot on stage. I've been singing kind of quote unquote professionally for, I don't know, 8, 9 years now. I think it's been just a kind of continuum process of getting more and more comfortable on stage and enjoying being up there more and more. And I talk a lot in my life, and I've gotten to the point where I feel like myself on stage, and things come out of my mouth. So when I started singing, I was very bashful, and I just tried to sort of be cute and sweet, and that's not what I do anymore.
Segueing into the next question, so your lyrics are almost very much sort of banter or prose as much as they are song. Are they meant to be developed that way? Or
I work really hard on my lyrics, and I like to write songs that tell a story and have a narrative to them. So yeah, I suppose that I do think of them that way.
The fourth record, Some Kind of Cure, was paid for entirely by your fans.
Damn straight.
And you thank them with some pretty cool rewards.
Yeah, I raised about $32,000 through fan donations, and to get that, I offered a bunch of different items for the people who donated. So there were small ticket items like a CD, signed CD, earlier than the release, but it went way up to a song written for you, to a private serenade, to a private concert, and things like that. I did a bunch of those.
What prompted you to sort of pursue record making in that way?
Necessity. I hope that I don't have to ask people for money again, although it was a great process, and it got them involved in a way that I think is great, and more artists are doing it, for better or for worse. But it means a lot to me that I can say that this record is fan funded. I wish that I had sort of a stamp that I could put on all of my things to say that it was all funded by the fans.
You said that this record sounds more like you on stage than any of your records previously. Why do you think that is?
I think we recorded it that way intentionally, and not necessarily that it sounds like me on stage, but my singing sounds natural. It doesn't sound like it's canned and recorded, and that was just a big intentional move. I played guitar and sang at the same time on a lot of the songs. We had multiple musicians playing at the same time. I didn't use a click track, which often locks a song into a tighter feel than you do when you normally play it. I wanted the songs to breathe and feel like they felt when I wrote them, and so that's how we did it.
Do you think that involving the audience in your record making sort of puts an additional pressure on you as an artist, or do you think that you get a little more breathing room because people are just like, we love you enough to give you money before the product is done?
Well, I definitely wanted to produce something that they would be proud of, but I'm not sure it added more pressure. It gave me oh, great. It gave me, it inspired me to make the best thing I could have done, but I think I would have done that anyway.
Are you a fan of Motown?
I am. Yeah. We're going to cover this song tonight.
So what prompted the big move from New Jersey and then...
Yeah, well, I move a lot, and most of the time I follow my wife where she wants to go, and we moved to Corsica because she's an anthropologist and was doing field work there, so we moved from Brooklyn to Corsica for a year.
You mentioned that there was a language barrier in Corsica?
Big time.
But you still played music for the villagers and for the village?
Yeah.
There were 35 people in your village?
Yeah, I played music for other people than just the villagers, but yeah.
What was the reception to your music?
It took a while, but eventually they liked it a lot. Corsican music is pretty different than my music, and it was hard for me to banter like I like to with Corsicans because they don't understand me. So I spoke in French, which it wasn't necessarily much easier for them to understand my French than it would have been to understand my English.
What's your favorite song?
Of mine?
Of yours.
I like the song that closes the record, a song called Winter Winds.
How would you compare being passionate about your family and having a love for your work? How would you compare the two? Or are they synonymous, really?
No, they're not. I mean, I write a lot and I'm inspired by my family, so there's a huge link, but unfortunately they often are opposing forces because I have to leave them to come and do what I do, and that sucks. You know, I was in the car yesterday with Jordan, my trumpet player, and he said, you know, David, you have to start putting your career before your family or you're never going to make it. And I said that that's not going to happen. And he's like, then you're not going to make it. And I was like, I know, but... So.
Well, 4 records in.
Yeah, I'm still doing it, but it's hard, you know, it's a balance, and you have to just keep finding it at the time, what makes sense and what doesn't.
I think that it's an interesting statement that your trumpet player would say, hey, if you want to make it, you should do this. But technically, by music standards already, you've made it by making consistent quality music and having people that support you. And
well, thank you.
I would say that's a statement.
Thank you.
I haven't met him yet, but I might have to give him the what's what later. At this point, does praise or criticism affect you?
You know, criticism affects me. I never like to hear. I'm a pretty sensitive guy, and I don't like to hear anything that, you know. But I actually don't really read praise. Like, I mean, if someone says something nice, that's great. That's nice. But I try not to really read much of the things that are written about me, for better or for worse.
Do you have any regrets?
About music, or you know, I regret not starting a little earlier. You know, because I kind of it might have been nice to have a few years doing this before I had my family.
Well, that would probably change things a little bit. So tell me about the title for the record.
Some Kind of Cure. Yeah, it's one of the songs on the record, but you know, it refers to. I think that a lot of the songs on the record deal with the subject of cures, of what kind of pulls a person out of a bad place, and how we find hope and answers to problems. You know, so you know, a lot of my music doesn't deny that things are hard in life, but ultimately I try to resolve things and find something that ends up being a cure. And that's often love, and it's often family.
Well, I was going to ask if music is the cure for any ailment.
No, I don't think it is. I think love is, but you know, music helps.
And this is actually not on this, but this is my question as somebody who's listened to the record. I wanted to ask, a lot of the songs have a very ethereal, sort of natural quality to them.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, is that something that you try really, really hard to create, or does it take a couple of takes before you find that? Or
I mean, we do a lot of takes, for sure, but no, I mean, I think that some of that has to do with the way I sang on this record, which goes to what we were talking about before, of figuring out how to make the performance feel honest. And, you know, a lot of it is about the way we produced it, layering sounds and having different textures that were often acoustic and organic textures, blended with some electric sounds, but there's a lot of strings and horns and things that are natural. You know, that's kind of my aesthetic, is to have this kind of earthy sound that has a tension and an electric thing to it behind it. But yeah, you know, I like music that is layered and vocal rich and has that kind of natural quality to it.
And how can fans find out more information about what you're doing?
DavidBerkeley.com. Berkeley has a lot of E's in it.
All right, well, that was David, and thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on stage.
Bye-bye.